Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, City Council. My name is Buddy Myers. I live at 2429 Cameo Court here in Loveland. Most of you know me as the chairman of the Planning Commission. I'm here, though, tonight as a private citizen. After having taken some time to review the Planning Commission meeting and the notes from that meeting, there's a couple of things I'd like to bring up as a citizen. My concern is with the next guy. They have got a great spirit in the agreement that they brought forward to the Planning Commission. I voted for it. I argued the 100,000 square foot with heavy industry, and I'll explain why in a moment. But it's the next person that buys that property, or it gets transferred, or we have what happened around the airport and up towards Crossroads, a fire sale by that developer because they get into financial trouble. Companies get into trouble. They don't plan on it, but it happens. And if that happens, these types of decisions and agreements run with the land. I spent some time in development as a CFO. I know how things work that go through that process, and if you've got to move a piece of ground, it's a selling point. We do need economic development up here. It will help it. I would contend that the process issues don't necessarily sit with the review process, but inside the processes within the various departments within the city also, the speed by which it gets done. The mention was in Kim's presentation and in the presentation that Carrie Burchard did was that a third party could stop it. Looking at the development review process in detail, there are still points there where a single person can make a single decision and stop it, which is not very good for businesses to have that predictability, because it can be done very subjectively rather than objectively. I would also contend that, removing, again, the public hearing process takes the citizens out, because the Planning Commission, as the council, we serve at the pleasure of the council at the Planning Commission level, but we serve the citizens of the city of Loveland. That's our role. We're there as part of their watchdog and for you all. And I would contend that we should leave that in there somehow, look at the other part of the processes. The 100,000 square foot limit was on heavy industrial. I argued that point heavily during the Planning Commission meeting. You can also see it in the notes, because the definition of heavy industrial gets changed. One of those things that are in there is that it adds the ability to refine rubber or petrochemical products on those same properties from 100,000 feet up to 500, and they gave us the concession that we would get the chance to review it, because it did raise concerns with me personally, having been involved in things like that in my career with IBM. So that's all I've got. Thank you very much for your time.
Buddy, before you leave the podium, I just have one question. The Planning Commission took a vote.
Yes, sir.
Were you on the prevailing side or on the...
I was on the prevailing side, because at that time it was the right thing to do for the city where it was going. But now, from a citizen's perspective, my personal view as an individual citizen, that's where I'm, my view is we were rushed through that process with some schedules that were told in place, and we had to get it done. We got the last moment things from the challenge, and to be honest, it was a pretty hastily done, to use Councilman Vogel's statement, to get the things done that night.
Okay.
Wish we'd had more time to review it.
Okay, thanks. I just needed that clarity.
You're welcome.